in some families what happens is that, suppose we're debating about Rama, right? About God Rama. And I might have, like my son might turn around and say that what he did was wrong, which is very common when we discuss Rama, with different interpretations, because कृष्णा के बारे में इतना नहीं बोलेंगे, बट रामा के बारे में, शिव जी के बारे में इतना नहीं बोलेंगे जितना it becomes a source of debate. Suppose he says that, there'll be a grandparent who'll say, no, don't you dare talk like this. How were the conversations in your home?
I think not only in our nuclear family, but in this case, I will say it emanated from our grandparents and in our larger family. There was always a freewheeling debate. My grandfather, actually, my paternal grandfather, our paternal grandfather, Baba, used to teach us the rules of the game of debating, I remember, as children. And he had introduced us, to this ancient idea of Purva Paksh and Uttar Paksh. The idea being, if I'm making a point, and I've made a point, then Amish has to first make clear to me that he's understood what I am saying. So, Purva Paksh. So, there is no answer to what I have said till you and I are on the same page as to what did I say. Once we are on the same page as to what did I say, and you're not trying to trip me or, be over smart, then you reply. And then when you give me the reply, then I am to first prove to him that he and I are on the same page as to what he said.
So respond and not just react.
Yes.
And also, because Babaji himself was a Pandit in Varanasi at Vishwanathji, and used to also teach at BHU, Banaras Hindu University. He taught maths and physics. He was a Sanskrit scholar. So he would tell us from the early days, what our traditions were. There's no concept of blasphemy in ancient India. We are supposed to question. We aren't supposed to judge. We are supposed to question so that we can learn and apply in our own life. And that was the approach in our way. We discuss, we talk, and from a young age we'd have philosophical discussions. And we were always a knowledge, wisdom obsessed family. As we used to joke, Saraswati Maa ki bahut kripa thi, Lakshmi Maa dur rehti thi. But that was the tradition. And it was the same way on our mother's side as well. Our grandmother was a teacher there, Nani Ma. And I guess we were lucky that we grew up in that atmosphere. And this is actually what our traditions were in ancient times. Sadly, we don't teach those things in our education system. We don't know among the greatest debates that ever happened between Adi Shankaracharya ji and Mandar Mishra. That's not taught to us.
Yeah.
So we don't know what our traditions is.
And we've lost the essence of listening and debating in the manner that we should.
There's this lovely book called Vada. I think I'd shared that with you as well. It was written by Radha. Yeah, there was a book. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And the book was called Vada. It was written by Radha Vallabh Tripathi. No relation. It's a community's name. And he had written many of the principles, and those are things we learned actually when we were growing up. And the entire concept was actually all of us are supposed to discover what works for us. And you can only do that through questioning, but always being respectful as well. So, in fact, you raised the point of Lord Ram. After the Shiva trilogy, I wasn't sure which series I would take up. I had various ideas in my mind. And in fact, I'd written an article at that time, around 2013, an incident that happened at a Lit Fest, where someone questioned Lord Ram, which they have every right to.
Sure.
But again, the kind of words that were used really upset me, right? And I'm not the kind of guy who'll, start shouting and screaming or something. But the words that were used actually upset me. You have every right to question. Nothing wrong with it, right? And I'd written an article at that time by, I think it's still there on the web somewhere, perhaps Hindustan Times, that why I still proudly say Jai Shri Ram. And I'd written an article saying that what our perspective to questioning should be. And that incident perhaps happened to me because that day I decided my next series is on Lord Ram. And I started writing the next day itself.
Yeah. In fact, when you wrote it, my thing was, why is he stopped on Shivji? Because the first trilogy was fabulous, you know. So it was like, let him continue. And why now it will get political because you're writing on Ram, but it didn't. I loved it. I loved that series too, and Sita.
Yeah, the second book.
Thank you.
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
The warrior sort of angle.
Yeah, because I'd read Divakaruni. That is a different perspective
But your
altogether. interpretation
was very unique.
was fabulous.
But, so before we go deeper into this conversation, I want to just pull back a bit on this. So there are a lot of people over here now who maybe are not familiar with the sort of nebulous nature of our culture, our religion, Hinduism. So the sort of conclusion and also the parallels that you've drawn in your book, what holy scriptures, can you just classify them from the start that you guys depended on? And
Good
how
question.
did it work?
I think perhaps the better word than nebulous would be plastic. Plastic, I mean that it's adaptable. There is a strength and solidity in that. We are the only pre-Bronze Age culture that is still alive. We must have some strength that we are still here. Every other pre-Bronze Age culture was wiped out. And as I said, most of them were killed.
What is
actually.
that? Kuch to hai.
कुछ बात है.
ये सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जमा हमारा, कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी.
Words of Muhammad Iqbal.
Muhammad Iqbal, ironically. But so there is a central solidity and strength, but we adapt as well, right? We take the best of the new, but we stubbornly hold on to the best of the old. We refuse to be overwritten. And I guess the best thing that describes that is actually plastic, right? We are
malleable.
Yeah. But with us, if you're so malleable that you're just a doormat, then you have no existence of your own, right? But if you're so rigid that you break, then you're gone, right?
So
we have the best of both.
Yeah.
So, in this then it's more a library than a specific book, right? You find the path that works for you. The first standard, the entry level is always Ramayana and Mahabharat, always, right? Then from there you find various different incidents. They refer to Puranas, they refer to the Vedas, they refer to the Upanishads, they refer to the Brahmanas, the Aryanas. And then you read what path works for you, right? Didi, if you want to add to this.
No, it's a complete answer.
But what I sort of gathered from this is the Mahabharata, the way it was written, was sort of, he has made it easier for the common man to understand the complexities of the Upanishads, the Vedas also.
True. Because through a story, look, we are essentially story-consuming creatures, right? Yes. I think it was Muriel Rukeyser who said that the universe is not made up of atoms, it's made up of stories, right? And when philosophy comes garbed in a story, it's just much easier to absorb. That's what the Ramayana and the Mahabharata do. But they don't just teach us philosophy, they teach us governance, they teach us geography. That's why the Ramayana and Mahabharata in our gurukuls, pathshalas, everywhere, it was always the first thing you start
book,
with, right? Both. And I genuinely, I've said this often, we must teach it in our education system, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. It should begin with it. And then you'll notice like the way Ramayana and Mahabharata are structured. You'll have, it's a bit like if you're on the internet and you have a hypertext, right? So there'll be an incident just going in a flashback to explain a point at this point of time. And then it'll come back to the main narrative. Yes. Then another incident, it'll come back. Now, you have the freedom to explore that incident a little deeper, right? Yeah. Because it was an incident that was mentioned, say, in the Skanda Puran. Then read the Skanda Puran now. So it's like the internet, right? You have a core website that you go to, which is in our way the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. They are the foundational texts, right? The first standard, right? And then discover what works for you and then go deeper out there. And you will find what works for you. No one will say this is the one truth. You better follow it. Otherwise you're going to burn in hell for eternity.
That's the strain that Amish keeps coming to, that there's no one way.
There is no one.
There isn't. Because you are different from me. Right? So you will discover your own path. Like, I am by natural nature a slightly rebellious person. So someone like me, Lord Shiva is like the natural god I'll get attracted to.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But who am I to judge someone who likes order, who likes compliance, and therefore is attracted to Lord Ram, as my elder brother Anish is? He's attracted to Lord Ram because he is that kind of person.
In the book, you say Lord Shiva is like the biker god. So I mean, you're absolutely right. So it's basically what you make of it. But you begin with this foundational thing that the Mahabharata and the Ramayana.
And
also,
Ishan, if I can add,
Thank you.
a bit to this, the Mahabharata we know was written by Rishi Vedvyas ji. His name is Vedvyas ji, so he was also the compiler of the Vedas.
Yes.
And then he wrote the Mahabharata as well to make it accessible, to the beginners.
Yeah.
Valmiki ji himself wrote 3 versions of the Ramayana.
Yes. So the greatest author in India, you could say, is Vedvyas ji when you think about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And his original name was actually Krishna Dwaipayana.
Yes.
The forest, right?
Yeah. So Dwaipayana is actually who was born on an island, Dweepa.
Okay.
And Krishna because he was dark skinned.
Dark skin, yes.
But Vedvyas was actually a title. Those who compiled the Vedas for that age get the title of Vedvyas. So Krishna Dwaipayana ji is the Vedvyas of our age because he compiled the Vedas. And Didi said rightly, there are those who say the Mahabharata is perhaps the 5th Veda because it explains it all in a story so that you can understand because the Vedas can be hard to understand.
Yes.
And it's also you'll see creative people, whether a singer, a dancer, a movie maker, they'll take stories from the Mahabharata. It's so compelling to make any art form based on something that you've read in Mahabharata, and it clicks. Certain stories click for you, certain stories click for somebody else with the Mahabharata. I just interviewed Prakash Jha, the filmmaker, and he's made a movie, which has Rajniti, which was like similar to
Mahabharata.
To Mahabharata. He took some of the characters were from there.
Kali Yuga, that delightful movie.
That movie, yes.
Starring Shashi Kapoor.
Yes, that was so beautifully
Fabulous
made.
movie.
At that time. And then many of us have read, but there is this thing, is it true what they say that Mahabharat ko ghar mein nahi rakhna chahiye, ladaiyan ho jati hai? Tell me about that.
I've studied in South India. I don't think this thing is
not there
in South India.
Yeah.
हमारे घर में है महाभारत.
Yeah, he has it
हम
in
नहीं
his
लड़ते.
house.
So हम नहीं लड़ते.
So if the derivative holiest book, the Song of the Gods, the Gita, is from the Mahabharata, how can you remove
नहीं, वो कहते गीता रख सकते हैं.
But
I don't understand.
One of the things that happened, I have this theory that the kind of attacks that we faced over the last 1,000 years, Will Durant had said the Turkic invasion of India was perhaps the bloodiest in human history.
Yes.
No invasion has led to more deaths than the Turkic invasion. What we call the Delhi Sultan Mughals. They were Turks. They didn't look like Ranveer Singh or
the desecration of our temples.
Prithviraj Kapoor.
All of that.
They weren't Indian. We must clarify that. The establishment historians have done a disservice to India by calling it the Islamic invasion, making it out like some Indian Muslims were ruling us. The Indian Pasmanda Muslims were as oppressed at that time as the Indian Hindus. We are very clear that the British were foreigners. Even in our movies, we'll show them as white speaking English. But we'll show the Turkic invaders as Indians speaking Urdu. Urdu is our language. It wasn't their language. Right? Their language was Turkic. Anyway, but coming back, this invasion was so brutal. And the British invasion was much more insidious, much more intellectual.
Actually, this is not even said in Pakistan. And when they don't call it the Turkish invasion, I mean, they don't use the word Turkish or invasion, but they refer to it as Islamic.
That we came.
Yeah.
They say we came.
They have their own identity
it's like
crisis.
Chickens, it's like chickens celebrating KFC. I mean, it's a little strange.
Most
but anyway,
think they are Arabic descendants also. So, I mean,
the invasion was so brutal that it led to changes in our history. Didi had pointed out something really insightful. Why? Because you find almost no ancient temple north of Karnataka. If you want to see a really ancient temple, you have to go down to Tamil Nadu or Kerala because that's where the invaders didn't reach.
Please don't ignore my state, Karnataka.
But the Hoysala, the great Belur, Halibe temples were attacked.
Yeah, they were.
Right?
Correct.
And they were among the most beautiful temples on earth. Right?
Yeah.
So, what actually, in Delhi, we are sitting in Delhi from the slave dynasty, 1200, to the British era, around 1860, 1865. Not one temple was built in Delhi, right? You find no ancient freestanding temple in North India, you will only find ruins because they were all destroyed, right? And a result of that was actually temples moved within the house, right? It's not so common in Tamil Nadu or Kerala in ancient times, because the only place we could keep our temples safe was in the puja ghar at home, right? Di, if you want to expand on that.
So in the book also it's there, right? About
Ganpati Visarjan.
The Ganpati Visarjan.
Sanjeev Sanyal also mentions this in the book. That
taking out celebration.
Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, the fact that he said that let's get the Ganpati Visarjan going again.
Yes.
We won't stop. Just because the British want us to stop. Well, let's bring it out. It's a form of it was a political message as well to gather the masses around this, beautiful sort of iconography.
And that we can celebrate outside our homes as well.
Right.
As we did in the pre-invasion times.
Yeah.
So my, a cousin-in-law of ours called Sunil Nair, he's a Keralite. He's a scientist in ICER and in Pune. My cousin Ashna is also a scientist. They're both physicists in ICER. And he had pointed it out to me. I wasn't aware of this. He said that to me that Didi, in Kerala, for instance, or even South India largely, the paddat of keeping the puja ghar at home is actually the result of Bollywood and the North's influence in probably the last 50 or 70 years, because the Hindus in the North faced the invasions. In the South, even Islam came commercially, through commerce. In the North, it came through invasions. And, which is when the invasions came, why have we survived as opposed to the other, our fellow idol worshippers of the ancient past? Because we went silent, but our temples moved within our homes, which is not a practice so much in South India. Historical practice nahi hai. Ye North Indian practice hai. Har ghar mein puja ghar. Har ghar mein puja ghar. Temples have moved in.
In the book, though, there were some holdouts, even with the invasion. You do mention about Dara Shikoh, though.
Yes.
That he was one of the outliers who actually did do us a service and our culture a service by translating, I think, the Kashi Vishwanath, the verses over there. What can you just tell us a little bit
The
about
Upanishads. He
Upanishad.
translated the Upanishads.
The mingling of two oceans.
From Sanskrit to Persian. Absolutely. So, there were good British officers as well during the British era and not the Christian era. We do not call the British period the Christian period. So there were good British officers as well.
So then why do we call the Turkic period the Islamic?
Yes.
Islamic.
So
They were foreigners.
Dara Shikoh was a good man, as was Akbar, but they were not Indian. They were Turks and, Mughals. Mughals, why do we call them Mughal at all? Why don't we call them Mongol? And because that's the origin. They were Mongols. And the minute we call them Mongols, the debate ends. The Mongol period.
It's in the word
The
itself.
Turkish
The
period.
etymology is...
They themselves were Turkic Mongols. They called themselves Temurid. They didn't call themselves Mughal. No. They called themselves Temurid. Or Gokarna, which is the son-in-law of Genghis Khan. So they were part Turkic, part Mongol.
Gokarna?
Gokarna.
Wow. Okay,
not the place.
Not the place.
That's where the shivling is.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Even in when you see the affection between Shiva and Parvati in the trilogy, that aspect we've not learnt when we were growing up years. How they complement each other. You've heard.
It's sadly because we don't teach our ancient Sanskrit texts. If we'd read Kumar Sambhava, if we'd been taught Kumar Sambhava of Kalidasa, we would be surprised by it. If we'd been taught Ramayana and Mahabharat, in there they show so many beautiful scenes. But we are our education system has been made in a way कि पढ़ा लिखा के बच्चे को अंग्रेज बना दो. We don't teach our own.
Because what do we know about our Rama and Sita? It's the Swayamvar which we know. Most kids would just have, frankly, if the conversations are not there in the family, like in your family, it would be through Amar Chitra Katha and maybe the Ramayana serial, right? So you would see the Swayamvar, you'd know about the Vanvas, and then the Agni Pariksha.
But there are such beautiful scenes in the Valmiki Ramayana itself. You know, when they are in the Vanvas, in the time they spend with each other, the Viraras, you know, when they are actually separated, when Lord Ram, you know, and because he was waiting to cross over, and remember the rains had come.
Yeah.
The way Valmiki ji describes Lord Ram's, you know, pain and anguish when he's waiting to see, goddess Sita, and you know, the way he described it was so immortal. You know, the way the clouds came. Kalidasa used it in Meghadutam many centuries later. The same description.
The dark clouds.
It shows the deep love, romance. It's all there. We just don't read it.
This is,
that's the sad part.
Yeah, I want to. So, because I guess there are a lot of interpretations of this. Let's trace it back. What do you think? The original text doesn't survive, right? Of the Valmiki's Ramayana. It's been interpreted again into by. Go ahead.
Look, there is a critical edition of the Ramayana and the Mahabharat, which was done in the 20th century by Bhandarkar Institute and Sayaji University. So, but that critical edition is based on various different texts that were found.
What is the earliest known text that you can think of?
No, those texts are essentially from, they can go back thousands of years, right? But there were different versions of it, like some changes, right? And also remember, because of the climate of India, things have to be rewritten onto papyrus scrolls every, I think, 3-4 centuries. So the fact that actually our ancestors kept rewriting them, that's what actually kept them alive, right? But every time it was rewritten, was there a slight change? Maybe, perhaps, who knows? But that's the point that our ancestors made. Who can be sure about anything you want to witness at that time? The only thing you can be sure of is this moment. Everything else is either a record or a dream, right? Did our ancestors keep good records? Much better than practically every other culture on earth. So we have to trust those records.
I ask you because in the book itself, you talk about this sort of interpretation not made by our ancestors of our books, wherein you talk about the interpretation of Ravana, that in the south he's actually considered a very pious Shiv Bhakt, etc., and the north considers him this demon king who was slain. But that's not really the truth. Even in the north, next in Delhi, Risaka, I think, is a place where there's a temple. Bisrak, sorry. Yeah. There's a temple which is made.
In fact, that's among the oldest temples.
So now this is the thing.
I also
these different interpretations.
But these are all our impressions of our culture over the last 100 years are radically different from what our ancestors had. So you won't find any temple to Ravan in Tamil Nadu which is older than 70, 80, at max 100 years old, right? But you find temples to Ravan in the north that are centuries old. In Kannauj, in Bisrak, there's a temple dedicated to Ravan's wife on the MP-Rajasthan border, right? The most ancient texts say Ravan was probably born close to Delhi, right? At Bisrak, right?
That's his birthplace.
Yeah, wow. His father's name was Visrava. So Bisrak has been named after his father. He was most probably a North Indian.
So this whole thing of Dravidians worship Ravana.
Does the Kambar Ramayanam...
Doesn't.
In fact, the Kambar Ramayanam is much more devotional. Kambar Ramayanam is, for those who don't know, is the Tamil
12th century
version of the Ramayana. Yeah, at least 800-900 years old. It is among the first devotional Ramayans. Because the Valmiki Ramayana sees Lord Ram clearly as a man. Remember, Ravana had asked a boon that only a man can kill him.
Okay.
Right? So, Valmiki Ramayana sees Lord Ram as a man. Right? Kambar Ramayanam clearly sees him as a god. Right? So, Kambar Ramayanam is not so, Ravan is great. No, not true, actually. It's a relatively modern thing. The same with Mahabali. We hear this Mahabali thing also.
Human, God, the controversy.
But how North Indians see Mahabali? Didi, you should explain this.
Negative.
See this of
So, this is something, taught to me again by my grandfather, Baba. When I began to tie the Rakhi.
Yes.
First, of course, only to Amish, and then when the twins came, every Hindu sister, whether she is North Indian, West Indian, East Indian, or East Indian, has a very specific connotation, or South Indian, says, Yena Baddho Baliraja Danavendro Mahabala. I tie this thread of protection to you, my brother, the same that was tied to Mahabali, the mighty, the charitable. Said by every sister all over the country. When the kalava is tied to, by the priest after a puja on your wrist, this is what the priest says. So, Mahabali is a hero all over India.
If you can just, because our viewers are here, just expound on the sort of legend of Mahabali. I mean, what we remember is that the third step, the Vamana, when Lord Vishnu came as Vamana.
Yes, the Vamana avatar.
He basically, the third step that he did was he took control of this demon king who was wreaking havoc over all the known universes at the time. Right?
He certainly wasn't wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
No.
This is a story
now
created by Christian missionaries.
Yes.
You want to do it?
So, no, he certainly wasn't wreaking havoc. And this thing that, again, that these binaries that are taught to us, good, evil, this family will always be bad, this family will always be good, Asuras always bad, Devas always good. Not true. Prahlad was technically an Asura. His father was Hiranyakashipu. So, Mahabali was also an Asura. There were Devas who were punished.
Mahabali was the grandson of
Asuras are not
Prahlad.
demons
I know.
in that
They are
respect, but then
half-brothers.
people,
But and they are from the same creation.
Asuras,
They were divided.
Asuras and Devas
from
had
Brahma.
the same
Yes.
father.
Yes,
They had the
correct.
same father. They are half
Exactly.
brothers.
Yes.
They just had two different mothers.
Different, yes.
Okay. Our way was never this binary. This is good, this is bad. You'll go to heaven, you'll go to hell, and you'll burn for eternity. Why will God do that? And just because you didn't worship Him, you burn in hell for eternity. So the Mahabali was never seen as negative, right? In North Indian traditions, like I said, he's seen as a great soul, as a great ruler, and the legend was that he sent him to another world, to the netherworld,
To the third level of Patal, which is the Sutal Lok.
Sutal
Yeah.
Lok, right,
Yes, which
okay.
is the third level. And
He took
Sorry, go ahead.
he took Vishnu down with him.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
oh,
correct.
Yes,
Yes, I know about that part.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Vishnu's wife
he was
begged.
taken aback and pleased by the humility of Mahabali that he made them the king. He made Mahabali the king of the third realm of Patal Lok, which is the Sutal Lok. And Mahabali said that when he discovered that Vaman Avatar is really Lord Vishnu, he said, well then, if you bless me and tell me I'm the king of the Sutal Lok, then you've got to come with me to Sutal Lok and live with me. And Lord Vishnu for 4 months every year, which is what we call the Chaturmas, lives in the Sutal Lok with his great devotee Mahabali. And Rakhi also finds its root in the same legend, because it wasn't just the 4 months, Mahabali said, you've got to come and live with me, and Lord Vishnu had gone to Sutal Lok forever and had left Vaikunt. And Lakshmi Ma was bereft. She rightly wanted her husband back. So she dressed, changed her vesh and became an old, decrepit lady and went to Sutal Lok and asked, the great charitable Mahabali for a boon. And he said, anything, Ma, what would you like? And that's when she transformed into her real form, Ma Lakshmi, and tied him a Rakhi, saying what she did, what my grandfather taught me. And having tied the Rakhi, she said, you are my brother now, and I need my husband back in Vaikunt. So he said, well, brother has got to answer
Any
any wish of the sister. And all right, Vishnuji, you can go back to Vaikunt. But then Vishnuji said, 4 months in a year, I will come and live with you every year, the Chaturmas.
And this year, 2023, we have the Adhik Mas in Chaturmas.
Yes.
We had an extra month.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on Devothan Ekadashi, Vishnuji comes back to Vaikunt. Interestingly, as a final, touch to this beautiful legend, when he left Sutal Lok for the first time, he said to Mahabali that I do see Lord Indra is the king of the Devas and he is in Amravati. And there's not much I can do about it right now. He is unstable. He's very easily made upset and is misled. I promise you, Mahabali, that after Kali Yuga, in the next Yuga, you will be the stable Lord Indra in Amravati.
Wow.
And my interpretation of this is also, you see this across, I think our gods, my reading of it, of all the stories across the Puranas, they used to try and prevent concentration of power. So, and as she said rightly, at times Indradev was pushed and the gods helped.
Yeah.
But it seems times, that right?
Poor Indradev is always pushed across our
So he was a
traditions.
deva, right?
Yeah.
And you'd think that in our binary thing, the god will always
the
pick
god
the
of
deva
gods.
side,
Yeah.
and always be anti-asura. Not true, right? And those who had concentration of power, what were noble, right? Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva would continue to bless them, but they would not like to see everything concentrated. But those who were ignoble, like Ravana, would probably...
No, so I always wanted to ask you, I mean, from what I've read and the early Vedic gods, Indradev, Vayudev, Agnidev, it just appears that as our traditions went along, they weren't as, in temples maybe, idols towards these gods are not as prevalent as more sort of the classical Ravana and Mahabharat gods. Do you see that difference in Hinduism creeping in eventually?
First of all, the first answer to this is actually if you go to Southeast Asia, you find murtis of Kuber, you find murtis of Lord Kuber,
Lord Varun,
Lord Indra, Lord Varun.
Lord of the Seas.
It's very common, right? So again, I know history books have taught us this, but it was written by the British, who always, their entire thing was what was Catholicism and what is the Protestant equivalent. Right? They always try and see the world in that perspective. What was the old religion? Which was the one that was replaced? Who were the old gods? Who were the new gods?
New Testament, Old Testament, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We didn't see the world that way, right? So in today's day, for example, you'll find that you'll find many more devotees of Lord Hanuman, of Lord Ganesh, which may not have, as compared to even, Lord Ram or Lord Shiva, because as ages change, the kind of gods and goddesses who attract us also change. And we see that as natural. That doesn't mean there are some old gods and new gods. They're all there, right? It's just that the age is different. So we worship a different form.
What was
but
that
they're all
movie?
from the same source.
So this is what I was coming to as a continuation of yours. I was interviewing Sunil Shetty, the actor, and he was talking about Bhuta worshipping Bhuta, which happens in Karnataka, and it's considered
your own
weird.
family also.
Yeah.
Tell them about your own family.
Correct. So when I took them as kids and my in-laws and all, when I took them to our ancient home, our heritage home, and wahan pe there is a little temple and you do Bhuta worshipping, and then at that time they were teenagers and they're saying, it's such a regressive practice. आप लोग भूत की पूजा करते हो? I didn't know where to start from to explain, and then that that they are ye rakhwali karte hame. Then there was the Nag. In every home there is a little place in Karnataka where you have the Nagamurti, and that is taken around the village on a specific day of the. There are several traditions where when you were talking about Hindus being environmentalists and idol, so Bhuta is not wrong.
No.
Nagas are not wrong. The worshipping of that, like we were talking
Nothing
about.
is wrong.
Nothing is wrong. Can I explain this? Sorry if I may.
Yeah.
Where this impression, particularly among the younger, and in a world that is highly westernized, right? What is the philosophical roots from which this has emerged? Do you notice that when Abrahamic people, when they die, bodies are buried, they're not cremated, and they say R.I.P., right?
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Rest in peace. Why are you resting? What's it for? Right? You have to know the philosophical roots at the heart of this. Their belief system is that time is linear. There's a beginning and an end. It's not circular like ours. Or actually, ours is more spiral, but okay, leave that aside. In their belief, the earth was created around 6,000 years ago, 6,500, 4,108 BCE or someone.
Ours is way complex.
That's when God said, "Let there be light." Ours goes back billions of years, and it moves in a linear line like this. Okay, the prophets came, the messiahs came. You die, your body is buried till Judgment Day, when God will judge everyone. Then the dead will rise at that time.
So you rest till then.
You rest in peace till that time, till Judgment Day, which was supposed to be a few hundred years. Now it's a few thousand years.
Which is there in the book of Revelation
Exactly.
in the Bible.
So you rest in peace till then,
In
till
purgatory.
Judgment Day, when the kingdom of heaven will start. And then the body rises. So if the body has risen before Judgment Day, which is what their concept of ghost is, then it's evil. Right? That's what the Walking Dead is.
Yeah.
Right? Hence ghosts are bad. They are clearly bad because you're not supposed to have risen till Judgment Day. You're supposed to rest in peace. That's the Abrahamic perspective, which has filtered into Western stories, which is now filtered into all of us. But in our way, life is essentially the soul, right? We have this body for now, but we will die and our souls will go into Pitraloka, right? For 3 generations, then either come back or find moksha. So we don't see bhuta or souls of our ancestors as negatives. They are just like us. There are some who are good, some who are bad, just like human beings. There are some human beings who are good, some human beings who are bad, right? There are some bhutas who are good, some who become pishachas and are negative.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's not that they are all, oh, how can you rise before Judgment Day? So, yes, there are bhutas who, just like human beings can be good, are very noble and they help us. There are some who, just like human beings, can be negative. That's the way it is. That's a philosophical thing at the heart of it.
Yeah, that's why when Kantara came in, then people figured out and explained
more
it.
complex.
It's complex. Like this wasn't explained so beautifully to me by my parents, but you've explained that. And when Kantara came in, then all of us cousins started discussing, right? That,
Like we don't say R.I.P.
Yeah.
We say Om Shanti, right? Or Om Sadgati. Your soul has moved on.
And like he said,
we are not
3
resting. There's nothing
generations
to
also.
rest.
Yeah.
And we are always in motion.
You keep the Shraddh also.
Yeah.
You keep it for 3. Like you make that rice
You
ka
make
gola 3.
That's why you make 3 pindas, no?
Yeah.
So because for 3 generations, and now there the concept of time is different. And then beyond 3 generations, they move on. So
And then the
you want
4th
to
one
add
you
something.
let go when one's own father passes away.
Yeah.
He becomes that, and then you say goodbye to the one that ab aap chalega. Like you're
You're not in Pitralok anymore.
You're not
Anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't need to look at
out
us
for us.
and give us that protection.
See,
you are free.
Why
now.
do you put those 3? Because your ancestors are actually looking out for you. That's the entire concept.
That is the Pinddan
That's a
at that
pinda.
time.
And you're looking out for them.
Yeah.
So in essence, the idea is if you exist, you are divine. Either in realization or a work in process. But if you exist, you're divine. And all pagan ways had an expansionary and not a replacement mode of worship. The ancient Tolmecs of South America had a god called Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah.
The Aztecs took over from them, and their central deity was actually Huitzilopochtli. Bit of a tongue twister. But they took over from the Tolmecs and inherited the god Quetzalcoatl as well, who actually in later years became the central deity, although Huitzilopochtli hung on also. So if you exist, you are divine, and these are woven into our stories as well. Our very ancient playwright Bhasa wrote a lovely play called Urubhanga. In
Duryodhan.
which,
Yes.
Yes.
Not bad, I'm impressed.
Yep. Yep. So Duryodhan's other name is Suyodhan.
Suyodhan, yes.
Actually, you can be this also, but you choose to be this. And Duryodhan's best is realized on the battlefield when he's
dying.
When he's moving on.
Yeah.
And what a resplendent, magnificent man he turns out to be as he says goodbye, not only to his wives, his son Durjay, his parents, but also his aunt Kunti, his brothers now, the Pandavas.
But he's imperfect. He couldn't stop Ashwathama.
Yeah. He tried to advise him
He
as
tried
well.
to advise him, yeah.
Yeah, he tried to advise him as well. And it was Suyodhan at his best. He realized it before moving on, which is why the Pandavas reach heaven and find
just Yudhishthir.
Duryodhan.
Because the rest fall back,
Yes,
but
yes.
Duryodhan is there.
Only
So
Yudhishthir.
that's the contradiction
Only Yudhishthir.
that theme, that contradictory theme in your book throughout, where even in this chaos there is a certain, there's a message. You
There's a
see it
principle.
throughout. In
Yeah.
every page it's
Yeah.
coming out. But see, I'm going to go back to those various cultures that you're talking about. Listen, this could be a conspiracy theory or whatever, but these ancient traditions of ours, did you see a common theme? The Indian, in Indian traditions, the Indian cultures and Greek cultures, do you think that these people commingled? Their theories bounced off each other? Their gods probably were the same. Is it possible? That they're from different names? I know because in the book you talk about there's similarities in Lord Hanumanji and Hercules without the angst. I'm quoting from the book. Did you notice that?
So, there were wise men among all these cultures, and wisdom has
Men and women.
Men and women, men including women,
Okay.
as stated in the Indian Penal Code.
That's true.
And wisdom has some central tenets which were common across the globe. Whether the stories germinated individually or traveled in this direction or in that direction, frankly, doesn't matter. It's not important. We don't know. As Amish said, really we don't know. But the central threads of wisdom were common. There is order, there is chaos. There is light, there is darkness. There is the good in bad and the bad in good. And there is a forever movement towards the center. There is higher love, there is lower love. There is war and wisdom, which always seems to dance
Coexist.
together
Yes.
in ancient myths. Very interesting, war and wisdom, because there can be, even in Islam, there is the lower jihad, which is the jaddo-jahad, the struggle within, where our good is engaging with our bad. The Kauravas and Pandavas, there's good in the Kauravas. There is bad in the Pandavas as well. I'm using good and bad very simply.
Yeah, I know.
deceit and there
That's
are
fine.
it's used. Yeah,
Yes.
you
But
take
somehow-
out the baser instincts at some time.
Yes. But somehow, had the Kauravas won, it would not have seemed right.
Yes.
And the search as to why it would not have quite seemed right is a joyride for us.
Yeah.
course.
So 2 questions, one to Amish and one to Bhavna. Let me go with Bhavna first, ladies. In your book, we began with feeling low and crushed when grief hits us. Then there is negative thought, and then some people are not able to get out of that. There can be many reasons why you are negative in your thinking, and then that happens when we look at our leaders. We tend to look at doers, at somebody who will kriya, somebody who will be action, will not be just thinking in just a thinker. You want somebody who can do it, because most Indians will think, हाँ जब मैं किसी को elect करता हूँ, you want somebody who will solve my problems for me, right? There's one in which this Nachiket says some people are miserable regardless of circumstances. Others have life hitting them relentlessly with pain, and yet they seem in control. What are these obstacles, right? And then it goes on to say that how we have limitations. Now, for leaders, how do they get over these limitations? Is it through internal looking at it, or is it through positive action? How does one get over these limitations? And when we are looking for what we want to see in our leaders, do you agree with what I say, that it is somebody who has gotten over these obstacles, or do we give that little thing that हाँ थोड़ा सा negativity होना चाहिए in a person, in a leader? How do we look at it?
I don't know about leaders, but I know leaders too are human beings. And we all engage with our demons and our grief and our lower chakra emotions. And it's a combination of two things. I'll come to the leadership question eventually. It's a combination of two things. It's एक अंदर से आवाज़, to keep growing. Nissim Taleb, has talked about post-traumatic growth as opposed to post-traumatic stress disorder. A very empowering concept. So, एक अंदर से आवाज़, along with, as Amish loves to say, ज़िंदगी में probably 8 to 10 ऐसे human beings होने चाहिए जो पकड़ के रखें, and they are there for you. दुनिया तो है. If you're fortunate enough to, again, I will share, a personal anecdote.
Sure.
And as I said, I'll come back to leadership. When Himanshu passed away, I think, a few days later, my brother Anish said to me that, Bhavna, I think you need counseling. And I wonder what kind of counselor, you would go to, because I don't want you to go to any ordinary counselor. I want you to go to someone, where spiritualism will meet psychology. And he suggested to me that I go to my philosophy school gurus. I was a member of New Acropolis Philosophical School for almost a decade, before Himanshu passed away. And it's headed by this lovely Jewish couple called Yaron and Sivan Barzilay. Anish said to me, I think you should go, to Yaron and Sivan. I reached out to them. This must have been 5 days after Himanshu went. And Yaron replied almost instantly. It was as if he was waiting for me to reach out to him. And the following, Himanshu went on a Friday. And I'm talking about the Sunday after the next. My family, my brothers and my sisters-in-law, they took me to the philosophy school. And Yaron and Sivan sat with me for 5.5 hours the first day. And I went to them for almost 7-8 successive Sundays. But that first Sunday, when I sat with them for 5.5 hours, my family had left me, at the school. And then once I was through, Sivan said, how will you go back home, Bhavna? Because your family must have gone back. Let me call them. And my brothers and sisters-in-law were hanging around outside the school. They were there for 5.5 hours. And they took me back home. The point I'm making is, a group of people, a small group of people who are just there for you, to pull you out and to be there for you when pani sar ke upar chala jaye. Internal as well as, environmental. As for leadership, it is an aspect of becoming. You become a leader. It's almost a transformative journey. The best leaders have innerly transformed themselves and found their potential to lead men and women. And I think India has been blessed with tremendous leadership across political parties in our democracy. India is not an easy country to govern. We are a fractious, raucous, passionate, almost chaotic, people. And our politicians manage to lead us. And in some form or the other, through some party or the other, we have great men and women who are leaders among all the political parties.
Okay. Amish, we talked about with how Bhavna coped with the overriding sentiment that was there for her before this creative process began in these two books. Your fans go millions. You've sold millions of books, and people have read your books. So like movers and shakers. There's Prime Minister. There's Mr. Bachchan, Jeffrey Archer. So many people have written, words of praise, and including some of my colleagues in journalism have praised. How do you keep centered? Don't let it get to you. And your creative process, when you write, do you think of those people? Do you think of the masses when you write that ye click hoga, ye click nahi hoga? Or is it just, I have to say this and I'm going to say it?
Actually, the answer is very similar to Deities. If you have a good family and you've had good parents, it's very easy to remain centered. I've been doing this for, I think, some 13 years now. I like to think I'm still pretty much internally at least the same person. And we've passed through ups and downs of life. I think it is important to remember that whatever work you do, especially if it's creative work, it's a blessing. And if any artist starts thinking, it's my genius, my creativity, that's, first of all, that's stupidity. And that's where ego arises from. And if there's something to learn from our traditions on ego, we should learn it from Ravana. A man he wasn't just a thug, he was a genius, right? Brilliant musician, brilliant dancer, brilliant ruler, brilliant warrior in every way. He had the blessings of Lord Shiva, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Sone ki Lanka thi.
Yeah, because he built it, right?
Yeah.
He administered it well. But his ego was his downfall. So if you stay away and control your ego, it's in your own selfish interest. You're not doing anyone else a favor. You're doing something good for you yourself. That's a lesson from Ravana. And if you have a family which is essentially stable, which, at home I'm still Amish, which is wonderful, right?
The younger brother.
Youngest.
Which keeps you, yeah, and which keeps you stable. There's this lovely Sanskrit Mahavakya, yad yad karma karomi tata dakilam shambho tavaradhanam. Every action, every karma that I do, my Lord Shiva, is a prayer in your honor. Just believe that he'll send the blessings. Someday the blessings will stop, then maybe it's supposed to stop at that time. Right now the blessings are still coming. I have to keep writing and I have to always remember it's his blessings.
Wonderful.
It's not my creativity, it's his blessing.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा.
The issue is टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है कि संविधान खतरे में है.
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दें?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब.
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप.
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI. It does not lie.